Very heartbreaking news. Loudly crying face, the painful secret of BTSJ. Hope loudly crying face, the heartbreaking truth behind his smile. The world knows him as the sun. He is the member who introduces himself as your hope, the one whose smile seems bright enough to dispel any shadow, and whose energy on stage can ignite a stadium of 50,000 people. To the public, J-Hope is the embodiment of joy, the mood maker of BTS, and a dancer of unparalleled precision. But there is a profound difference between the light that is shown to the world and the fuel that must burn to sustain it. Behind the global icon J-Hope, there is the human story of Jung Ho-seok, a story not just of talent, but of a quiet, often painful battle against expectation, sacrifice, and the terrifying fear of being left behind. To truly respect J-Hope, one must look past the smile and understand the tears that watered the soil from which this flower bloomed. Long before the stadium lights turned on, Jung Ho-seok was a young boy in Gwangju with a dream that felt heavier than his reality. While he is now celebrated as a dance prodigy, his beginning was not a fairy tale. According to various media interviews and documentaries, his passion for dance was initially met with resistance closer to home. There were moments of deep tension within his family regarding his career path, a struggle that many artists face but few speak of openly. For a young boy who simply wanted to express himself through movement, the lack of immediate approval was a heavy emotional burden. He was not dancing for fame. He was dancing to prove his existence. The streets of Gwangju knew him as Smile Hoya, a rising talent in the underground dance scene. But local fame does not guarantee survival in the brutal industry of K-pop. J-Hope faced the cold reality of rejection early on. Before joining Big Hit, he auditioned for JYP Entertainment and was cut. For a young dreamer, this could have been the end. Rejection in the entertainment industry is not just a no. It is a statement that you are not enough. Yet, J-Hope did not let this failure define him. He packed his bags and moved to Seoul, entering a small, struggling company known as Big Hit, trading the familiarity of home for a future that was entirely invisible. The trainee days were a crucible of physical and mental exhaustion. Fans often discuss the physical toll, but the psychological war was far more intense. J-Hope entered the company as a dancer, not a rapper. While other members like RM and Suga had spent years sharpening their lyricism, J-Hope had to learn a completely new skill set from scratch. He was surrounded by trainees who seemed to have found their identity, while he was forced to build a new one. Various sources from the pre-debut era suggest that J-Hope spent countless nights in the studio, not just practicing dance, but listening to beats, struggling to find his voice, and fighting the gnawing insecurity that he was lagging behind the others musically. Then came the moment that could have changed history forever. It is a story verified by the members themselves in the documentary Burn the Stage. Just before BTS was set to debut, the pressure became too much. The uncertainty of the company's future and the grueling training pushed J-Hope to his breaking point. He made the decision to leave the group. He packed his belongings and prepared to return to Gwangju. It was a moment of absolute despair. The youngest member, Jung Ho-seok, cried and begged him not to go. It took RM speaking directly to the management, stating firmly that we cannot make it without Jung Ho-seok, to bring him back. This incident reveals a vulnerable truth. J-Hope is not made of steel. He is a human being who once felt so overwhelmed, so unnecessary, or so tired that he was ready to let go of everything. The fact that he returned was not just a career choice. It was an act of love and trust in his brothers. When BTS finally debuted, J-Hope took on a role that required a different kind of sacrifice. He became the hope of the group. He adopted a persona of constant brightness. While this brought joy to millions, it created a complex internal conflict. In his solo track, Blue Side, and later in his album Jack in the Box, J-Hope hinted at the shadows behind the sun. He spoke of the pressure to always be fine, to always be the one lifting others up. There is a specific kind of loneliness that comes with being the happy one. When everyone relies on you for strength, who do you rely on when you are weak? For years, J-Hope swallowed his own struggles to ensure the team's morale stayed high. He acted as the bridge between the older and younger members, often putting his own needs last. His work ethic became legendary, but it was born from a fear of imperfection. Known as the dance leader, J-Hope is famous for his terrifying attention to detail. Behind-the-scenes footage often shows a serious, sharp-eyed professional who does not tolerate mistakes. This is not arrogance. It is the behavior of a man who knows that one slip could cost them everything they worked for. He carried the weight of the group's performance quality on his shoulders. Every synchronized step BTS is famous for has the invisible fingerprint of J-Hope's discipline all over it. Even after achieving global superstardom, the demons of self-doubt did not vanish. They merely changed form. When BTS announced their Chapter 2, focusing on solo projects, J-Hope was the first to step into the fire. He headlined Lollapalooza, becoming the first South Korean artist to do so. On the surface, it was a triumph. But in the documentary J-Hope in the Box, the audience saw the terrified man behind the curtain. He spoke candidly about the fear of standing alone without the other 6 members. He battled burnout and the immense pressure of proving he could stand on his own 2 feet. The preparation was grueling. He lost weight, he barely slept, and he pushed his body to the limit because he felt he had to prove his worth all over again. He was not resting on his laurels. He was fighting for his artistic soul. Why do people love J-Hope? It is not just because he is a world-class dancer. It is because of his profound humanity. There are countless stories, verified by staff and fans, of his kindness. He is known to be the member who remembers the small details, who checks on the staff, who ensures no member is left out during interviews. He sacrificed his own desire to be a vocalist in the early days to focus on rapping for the team's balance. He often stands at the edge of photos to let others shine. His sunshine image is not a lie, but it is a choice. It is a conscious decision to bring warmth into a cold world, even when he himself might be feeling cold. His enlistment in the military marked another chapter of quiet dignity. Instead of making a spectacle, he entered quietly and, according to media reports, excelled rapidly, becoming an assistant instructor, a role reserved for the most disciplined soldiers. Even in the military, stripped of his fame and fortune, Jung Ho-seok rose to the top through sheer hard work. This proved to the world that his success was not a fluke of the K-pop system, but a result of his innate character. J-Hope has achieved everything an artist could dream of. Financially, media outlets estimate his net worth to be staggering, and his shelf is lined with the world's most prestigious awards. Yet, his future goals remain surprisingly grounded. He speaks of wanting to mature as a human being, to explore darker, more honest sides of his artistry, and to simply be a good person. He is slowly peeling back the layers of J-Hope to show the world more of Jung Ho-seok, the man who gets tired, the man who thinks deeply, and the man who finds beauty in the quiet moments. The journey from a boy in Gwangju who was told no by the industry, to the man who nearly quit because the burden was too heavy, to the global icon who commands the stage with a single gesture, is a story of resilience. J-Hope teaches us that hope is not just a feeling. It is a discipline. It is the grit to keep dancing when the music stops. It is the courage to smile when you want to cry, not to hide the pain, but to protect those you love. When the stadium lights finally fade and the cheers turn into silence, J-Hope does not just disappear into the dark. He stands there, breathing heavily, covered in sweat, looking out into the void with a gaze that says he gave everything he had. He did not become a star by accident. He burned himself to become the light for others. And for that sacrifice, for that relentless human struggle to be our hope, he deserves more than just our applause. He deserves our deepest, most silent respect.